Welcome to this Stage 2 nutrition video on minerals. Minerals are the final of the 6 categories of nutrients we have studied in this topic, the fundamentals of human nutrition. You might be wondering why the periodic table has appeared. Don't worry, I haven't reverted to teaching chemistry all of a sudden. You see, minerals are the chemical elements required by living organisms for optimum health, other than carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen and oxygen, which are already present in macronutrients and vitamins. Minerals play a role in many chemical reactions within the body and also form part of the structures of hormones, enzymes, vitamins, and bones. As you know, the human body mass is made up mostly of water, containing hydrogen and oxygen. The remaining mass is equal parts protein, found in our muscles and cells, and fat, stored for future energy use, and a very small amount of carbohydrate, which is stored for energy. Then, final 6% is minerals. The major minerals that contribute to our body mass are calcium, 1.5%, and phosphorus at 1.2%, as they make up the matrix within our bones. The first mineral that we'll discuss in detail is calcium. Hopefully, you all would be able to identify that dairy foods are an excellent source of calcium. But did you know there are other sources, including almonds, sesame seeds, green leafy vegetables, tofu, and seaweed? It's very important that we are aware of a range of dietary sources, as different people have different dietary needs. Consider vegetarians and those who are lactose intolerant, for example. Functions of calcium are primarily in the formation of healthy bones and teeth, where it works together with phosphorus and vitamins C and D to form strong bones. Calcium also plays a very important role in muscle contraction and relaxation, which is particularly important for maintaining a normal heartbeat. It also has a role in nerve impulses and blood clotting. The recommended daily intake of calcium for adults and children is around 800 milligrams per day. This isn't a number that you need to memorize, but it's important to remember the scale at which we require micronutrients, which is in micrograms or milligrams. The recommended daily intake increases for pregnant, lactating, and postmenopausal women. Pregnant and lactating women require additional calcium to meet the needs of the growing fetus and infant child. Postmenopausal women are women who have reached the stage of life following menopause, where they require additional calcium in the diet to replace the calcium lost through the processes of menopause. Calcium is lost on a daily basis through urine, feces, and the skin by sweating. It is important that calcium is replaced on a regular basis to avoid deficiency. If insufficient dietary calcium is consumed, skeletal calcium, or calcium found in the bones, will be recruited, which in the long term will result in weakened bones and ultimately osteoporosis in old age. Interestingly, only approximately 20% of all of the calcium consumed in the diet is actually able to be absorbed by the body, and this absorption is further reduced if you have a diet high in caffeine, sodium, or protein. Pause the video now if you need to record important information about calcium. Fun fact, there is about 1 kilogram of calcium in the human body. Now, are you ready to test what you have learned? Pause the video and write down the answer to these 5 questions to review what you have learned. The next mineral that we'll focus on is iron. You may already know that by far the best source of iron is red meat. However, iron can also be found in poultry and eggs, as well as vegetarian sources, including cereals, legumes such as lentils and chickpeas, and green leafy vegetables like spinach. Animal sources provide a high quality form of iron known as heme iron, which is readily absorbed by the body, whereas vegetarian sources provide non-heme iron, which is less readily absorbed. The absorption of any type of iron can be increased by consuming iron-rich foods in combination with foods containing vitamin C. This is an example of complementary pairing of nutrients. So why is iron so important in the diet anyway? Iron forms part of the protein hemoglobin, which helps to transport oxygen around the body, as well as another similar protein, myoglobin, which makes oxygen available to muscles. It also forms part of many enzymes, which are involved in using energy in the body. The recommended daily intake for iron increases from children and adolescents who require 10 to 13 milligrams to menstruating women and girls who have usually a higher requirement for 12 to 16 milligrams of iron to mitigate the losses through their monthly cycles. As with calcium, pregnant women also have an additional requirement, this time for 22 to 36 milligrams of iron to support their developing fetus. Adult males, on the other hand, require just 7 milligrams. Again, there is no reason to memorize these numbers, but it's interesting and important to note the differences for different life stages. Deficiency in iron is known as anemia, which results in reduced numbers of red blood cells, abbreviated here as RBC, and this can lead to chronic tiredness, irritability, and the decreased capacity to exercise, especially for long periods of time. This is illustrated in the two diagrams at the bottom right. On the left side of the diagram, we have a normal amount of red blood cells compared with an anemic amount on the right-hand side. As you can see, reduced numbers of red blood cells will lead to less oxygen being able to be transported around the body and into the muscles, which leads to the symptoms described. Pause the video now to take down important information about iron. Are you ready to take the iron quiz? Write down the answers to these 5 questions to again review what you have learnt about iron. Pause the video now to record your answers. The next mineral that we'll learn about is sodium. As you can see from the diagram, sodium is readily found in many processed and packaged foods, restaurant and takeaway meals, cured meats, chips, anything with a salty taste. In fact, of all the minerals, sodium is the one that we're most likely to get too much of. More about that later. It's important to understand the functions of sodium, first of all. Sodium is important for the regulation of fluids entering and exiting all of the cells in our body. This is sometimes referred to as water balance. It is also important for controlling muscle contraction and relaxation, where it works in conjunction with calcium to regulate such things as our heartbeat and involuntary muscle contractions in our digestive system, as well as the muscle contractions in our arms and legs associated with movement. So far, with the recommended daily intakes for minerals, we have seen a target of how much we should consume in a day. For sodium, we set an upper limit because most Australian adults, and indeed adults right around the developed world, consume too much sodium on a regular basis. The upper limit for adults is set at 2,300 milligrams. Infants and children require less than this. Given that we tend to overconsume sodium, deficiency is rare. However, it can result in muscle cramps and vomiting, which generally only happens in the case of extreme heat, where we sweat a lot, or during extended exercise. On the other hand, an excess of sodium is very common, particularly in Australia, and is related to many diet-related diseases, such as hypertension, or also known as high blood pressure, fluid retention, which can result in bloating and puffiness, kidney and heart failure, and, as mentioned previously, reduced absorption of calcium. Pause the video now to record important information about sodium. Record your answers to these questions about sodium to review your understanding. Pause the video now to keep the questions on the screen. The next mineral we'll talk about is potassium. Potassium is found in many foods, including bananas, soybeans, fruits and vegetables, meat, fish, and milk. As we'll see later on, it's very unlikely for anyone to be deficient in potassium given it's present in such a wide variety of foods. And functions of potassium, similarly to sodium, include the regulation of fluids entering and exiting cells, and, once again, muscle contraction and relaxation, and particularly potassium is important for maintaining a regular heartbeat. The recommended daily intake for potassium for adults is between 1,950 and 5,460 milligrams. As mentioned, deficiency is rare, but, similarly to sodium, could result in muscle cramps, weakness, or an irregular heartbeat. Again, usually caused by prolonged exercise, dehydration, or vomiting episodes, or the use of diuretics. Excess is rare. Pause the video now to record important information about potassium. When you're ready, take the potassium quiz. Pause the video now. Almost there. The second to last mineral we'll learn about is iodine. Iodine has traditionally been found in fruits and vegetables and seafood. However, it is increasingly added to the diet in the form of iodized salt, fortified bread, or plants grown in iodine-rich soils due to decreasing levels of iodine found in Australian soils. Functions of iodine include forming part of thyroid hormones, which help to regulate our growth, development, and metabolic rate. The recommended daily intake for adults ranges from 150 to 1,100 micrograms. Note the use of the mu symbol, denoting micrograms, and for infants it's a smaller number and children. Deficiency is not so common in Australia, it's more common in the developing world, and the main symptom of deficiency is called goiter, which is the swelling of the thyroid gland located in the neck, as you can see in the picture at the bottom right. It also involves delayed growth and development in infants if the deficiency occurs early in life, and can be linked to unexplained weight gain. On the other hand, excess can also relate in enlargement of the thyroid gland and is particularly dangerous during pregnancy. Pause the video now to record important information about iodine. Review what you have learnt by taking the iodine quiz. Pause the video to record your answers. Finally there, the last mineral that we're going to learn about is zinc. Zinc is commonly found in seafood such as oysters, beef, poultry, dairy foods, legumes, nuts, and green leafy vegetables. So obviously, again, a wide variety of food sources, but as you can see in brackets here, sources such as green leafy vegetables are not particularly good sources. Additionally, foods high in fibre and phytates, such as whole grains, or particularly fibrous vegetables, can actually inhibit zinc absorption. Functions of zinc important to the body are mostly related to immune function, growth, and development. Zinc is also important for the synthesis of DNA and RNA and hemoglobin, and is involved in the metabolism of carbohydrates and proteins. The recommended daily intake of zinc is higher for men than for women. Deficiency is shown in the pictures at the bottom right. A major symptom of zinc deficiency in children is delayed growth and sexual development. It can also have symptoms such as loss of appetite, impaired immune function, so catching colds more often than you should, hair loss, diarrhea, impotence, eye and skin lesions as shown in the picture at the left, low testosterone production in males. Pause the video now to record any final information about zinc. And the final quiz has arrived. Answer these questions to review what you have learned about zinc. Pause the video now.